Klay, the Warriors agreeing to a max deal, 5 years, $190 million for Thompson as he recovers from a torn ACL. The deal will keep the Splash Brothers together for years to come. Golden State also adding more scoring. D'Angelo Russell is coming to the Bay in a sign and trade with the Nets that gives Russell a max deal. The Warriors also sent Andre Iguodala to the Grizzlies to gain cap flexibility. Elsewhere around the league, the Heat trading Hassan Whiteside to the Trailblazers for Mo Harkless and Myers Leonard. Whiteside's role dwindled in Miami after losing his starting job. And after losing Al Horford to Philly, Boston will bring in Enes Kanter back east. The Knicks waived Kanter in February, but he landed in Portland where he delivered several strong playoff performances. Giving his phones a break for a few minutes. Woj joining us now. As things start to settle down, what are you hearing about Kawhi's decision, when and where?
That it could still take some time this week, that the teams pursuing him, they have an expectation that this may not play out quickly early in the week. It may not come off the board as quickly as Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant did. And so that's causing the Clippers, the Lakers, who have significant cap space, to watch players, especially the Lakers, seeing players like Seth Curry go off the board in free agency, players who would be attractive to them. Danny Green's a player out there who's going to have to make a decision soon. He's waiting to see what Kawhi Leonard does. But opportunities are coming off the board. And, Kawhi Leonard can afford to wait. Everyone's going to wait on Kawhi. But the role players who's, may either join him or go somewhere else, they're impacted by a decision taking some time.
And you see some of these teams just sitting there waiting and watching and wondering. And, of course, Kawhi's going to do it on his terms here. The big shocker, we saw some surprises, but the big shocker is D'Angelo Russell going back to the West Coast. But the idea of California and a team, I don't think a lot of people thought of Golden State being that team. How did this deal come together?
Well, once Kevin Durant committed to the Nets, there was an opportunity there with Russell as a restricted free agent to do a sign and trade, and that's what happened. I was told today that the deal is being finalized now. A couple role players with the Nets are going. Actually, they're on their way to Minnesota with cash. And D'Angelo Russell, 4 years, $117 million max deal, and he'll move in to a backcourt with Steph Curry next year while Klay Thompson is rehabbing that ACL injury. And for D'Angelo Russell, listen, his role in putting the Nets in position to be able to sign Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, shouldn't be underestimated. He helped give that organization some credibility.
Still a couple years away from his prime, too. We'll see how that plays out with D'Angelo. Now, the Jimmy Butler sign and trade involving the Sixers and the Heat, we have heard that a third team had to be involved. You've got a fourth team involved. How did this come together?
Deal's complete now. I'm told the Clippers got involved as a fourth team. They're going to take on Mo Harkless's contract and another first-round pick from the Heat to take on that money. So the Clippers now have a 2021 and 2023 first-round pick from Miami. They put Harkless in, and they still have the cap space to go after Kawhi. But Jimmy Butler now 4 years, $142 million in Miami. The money works out. The salary cap, it all fits. And Jimmy Butler will be, really the centerpiece now of that Miami team.
That third team is Portland getting Whiteside in that trade as well. So this all plays out. We'll see how this continues, Woj.
6 p.m. Eastern, the fun begins.
Yes, you could say that one team's already having fun in Brooklyn because it's an enviable spot to have a 23-year-old all-star coming off a career year that helped lead you to the playoffs, and he is your backup plan. That's because despite extending a qualifying offer to D'Angelo Russell, league sources tell Adrian Wojnarowski that the Nets and Kyrie Irving are meeting today and moving toward a max 4-year deal worth $141 million. The team still pursuing Kevin Durant as part of their plan to nab 2 max contract deals. Now, as for the potential odd man out here, it appears time heals all wounds, as Woj is also reporting D'Angelo Russell and the Lakers have mutual interest in reuniting 2 years after the team that drafted him traded him to the Nets. The Lakers also reportedly interested in fellow guards Patrick Beverley and Seth Curry.
All right, so these meetings likely to happen because it appears the first free agency domino to fall today will be Kemba Walker to the Celtics. Woj reporting that Kemba plans to be in Boston on Sunday to finalize a formal agreement of a 4-year, $141 million deal. Walker plugs a guard hole left in Boston, of course, with Kyrie out. What about Jimmy Butler? He will also be busy meeting with teams. And first out of the gate, the Heat in South Florida today ahead of a meeting with the Houston Rockets next week. Butler's meeting with the Rockets will likely take place early next week. in Los Angeles. So another thing to consider is free agency.
An extension, it sounds like this. 4 years, 196. The Athletic first reported this, and given the contributions there, the gigantic shots that have been hit, what he represents to that team, I think we all understand why Dame Lillard gets that reward. All right, Kristaps Porzingis traded, of course, from New York to Dallas. He's agreed to extend his stay in Dallas, 5-year, 158 max contract. So team up with Doncic down there in Dallas, ride together for the next 5 at a very healthy 158. All-star Chris Middleton declined a $13 million player option, instead agrees to a 5-year, $178 million deal to remain with Milwaukee. Second-round pick averaged 18, 6, and 4 for the Bucks, who won a league-best 60 last year. I know it's not the sexiest team. He's not the sexiest player, but he's being paid like one. And Tobias gets 158 for 5 years as he is staying in Philadelphia. Of course, he came over in the trade from the Clippers. And all told, on Sunday, there were 7 players who signed the largest contracts in the history of their team. 4 of them are with the team they played for last year. 3 of them, Durant, Kemba, and Butler, will be joining a new squad. Those players alone combined to sign for a total of $1.158 billion. Again, Kemba will be joining the show a little bit later on. Bobby Marks, are you prepared for this?
I'm ready to go.
You're just scrambling like a maniac. You got books out. Are you ready for what we're doing here?
I got my black book.
All right.
My numbers. We don't even need that. We can go right with it.
Right. You can hang on to it if it's necessary. All right, and you can do your jokes. Right. We look alike. Right. We've got a segment about that. The Nets numbers. You were the one that came in and explained to me. Like people are pointing out, hey, the Knicks didn't offer KD the max. Well, the Nets aren't giving him the max either, so that they can make the Jordan thing work. Explain what we're talking about here.
Right. When DeAndre Jordan came in at 4 years, $40 million, everyone's wondering, how are you going to fit DeAndre Jordan into this roster here? And this is what both players were able to do. When we start with Kyrie, $28.5 million is his number. This is where Kemba is.
Okay.
32.7. So there's about a $3.5 million difference there. What they can do is put some unlikely bonuses in there, reaching the second round, 45 wins, to have him recoup that money there. So when we put Kyrie in, that gets you down to $41 million. Okay? Let's look at Durant here. Similar situation. KD's number is $38.2 million.
He's a small forward, Steve.
He is.
Small forward. We had a segment on radio once. I screwed up with a small forward. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
KD's number is $38.2 million. We're going to bump it down to $32 million. We're going to put some bonuses in there also. It's the same as Kyrie. But even though Kevin will likely be out,
you'll still get the bonuses if the team does.
Team bonuses. So when we put that number in there, $10 million.
Voila.
And here is DeAndre Jordan.
A bargain at $10 million.
$10 million per year. They also agreed to a deal with Garrett Temple for the $4.8 million room exception. You can exceed the cap to do that, and you get to keep all your young players: Spencer Dinwiddie, Joe Harris, Taurean Prince, Karis LeVert, and you don't even have to make a trade to clear out space.
So I know you and Woj are both in great respect for how the Nets have made all things work to lure these two stars. And what's interesting is that everyone's killing the Knicks, and I'm going to as well on the one big thing. But while we're sitting here right now, the Clippers, right, they created all this space, and to date they've done nothing, and it seems that they're obviously all in for Kawhi. If they don't get him, then you're going to run out of people to spend your money on. So where are they right now?
Well, you're right. I mean, look at where they are. If we go to the Clippers, and right here, they're at $43 million, and this is including this Patrick Beverley hold, and he might not be there. Like, he could be off the market by tonight.
And you're going to run out of people you can deal Gallinari to as well, I would assume.
You have the Gallinari expiring contract. I mean, of course, hey, the best case scenario is Kawhi,
sure,
right?
Obviously.
So let's say what happens if Kawhi is not here. Look at all the players that are off. Chris Middleton's off. Tobias Harris is off. Bogdanovic, Harrison Barnes.
Gone.
Kelly Oubre is still there. I mean, this market, Scott, is shrinking here. All the big names here. Every player here except Danny Green, who's holding out for something, possibility here. But, I mean, if we go through, we can go through every position here. I mean, look at where all the numbers are.
Technically, we can't because we're only on for an hour, but I understand what you're saying in theory.
But yeah, they could be left with $52 million and, taking one-year contracts here.
Well, I mean, this is the risk you pay. You sit on powder for this day, and then all of a sudden you're running out of guys to use it on. That's what's really interesting from the Knicks' perspective, the Clippers' perspective. Look, the Lakers are in the same boat too. If they're waiting on Kawhi. Obviously, Davis comes, but some teams I think we're all wondering where are we here at the moment. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
We're going to do Utah as well. We're going to look at Philly, what they look like, but now we're going to tell you what Vegas thinks.